Are you guys in favor of the draft lottery? I mean, it exists not in baseball, but in basketball and hockey.
I
So
got a, I got a draft lottery for you for the NHL at least. You
what do you
ready?
mean?
Oh,
Well,
but you want to set up another tournament, right?
yeah, no, at a date to be determined and sealed in an envelope in late March, shall we say, mid to late March. Nobody knows. Gary Bettman has had ping pong balls rolling around in his office for a while. So there's a sealed envelope with a date on it, and on that date, out comes the slip with the date. And as of that date, all teams with losing records in regulation, which I think at the moment would be like eight or nine in the NHL.
Mm-hmm.
All of those teams from that point on, from the point that you would start with the teams having played the same number of games. So whatever team had played the fewest number of games, you'd revert to that, and every one of those teams would start with 0 points for the rest of the season on this draft lottery standings. And the team that finished with the best record of those losing teams would win the first pick. So now there would be an incentive to win to get the first pick instead of any incentive to lose.
How many games would you need? 15?
Well, yeah, roughly. I mean,
Yeah.
You want 10, you want 15.
What happens if the team went and won 15 in a row and made the playoffs?
Is there a logical chance for that? If they're
There's
all
always
they're
a
all
there's a
right?
chance.
There's
Yeah.
always a chance.
Good for them.
You'd still let them draft first?
Well, you could decide. Get the NFL to decide.
I was going to say, put it in a neutral site then.
No, you could say you have your choice. If you're winning that much and you can get into the playoffs, then no, you're not going to have the first pick. I doubt that would happen. But I like and this isn't a new idea.
No, it's not.
Play for the first pick instead of lose for the first, or win for the first pick instead of lose for the other way of doing that would be to take those same teams, however many there are, let's say 8, with 15 games to go, and just put them all in a hat and random draw 1 through 8, televise it. So any of those 8 teams could wind up with the first pick, and you have no reason to try to finish last because you already know your chance is the same as everybody else in there. But I think, especially this year with Bedard and with the number of teams that are going to say, boy, we don't get him, we're really upset. Chicago, Anaheim, Columbus, Arizona, you want to add some more to that, but at least probably those 4.
Montreal, don't forget your friends in Montreal. Dude.
Yeah, they're a little bit higher than that.
Not for long.
Well, they just won a game. But anyway, the 4 that I mentioned are all legitimate candidates to want and need badly Connor Bedard. Now, how much Connor Bedard wants to go to any of those places is another question. But unless he wants to do what few have done in any sport and say, I'm going to decide where I play and the league isn't, then he's going to wind up in, is he going to call Johnny Gaudreau and say, how is it in Columbus? Who's he going to call in Chicago?
The part of this whole mess that doesn't make any sense to me is for many, many years, the worst team got the number 1 pick. That's the way lotteries or drafting has worked. And then it became an issue of, are you playing for last? Are you trying to lose? Do we honestly really think that professional teams try and lose?
It did happen.
Well, it has happened.
Sure.
So what?
What bothers me?
It does.
I mean, I think you play to win the game, Herm Edwards.
Should. The Houston Texans did. Davis Mills is their quarterback, would like to be their quarterback next
Fine,
year.
but the National Football League still gives the worst team the first pick. There's no lottery in the NFL.
No, but the worst team was decided yesterday at the very end, and was decided by a team that was trying to win and not trying to lose.
Well, correct.
But they only play, a very few games, and those players,
and the pool of players available to the NFL is so much bigger than any other pool in any other sport.
And the thing about tanking is, I mean, nobody's trying to tank now, or you wouldn't see Chicago win a couple of games. They beat Calgary last night. You wouldn't see Arizona had a few wins there. Where the tanking occurs, if it's going to occur, is toward the end of the season, and you start looking at the lineups.
Yes.
And who's playing, or you start looking at the trade deadline, when the team that is desperate for Connor Bedard starts dealing players to clearly become weaker the rest of the way. Now those teams will say, we're doing it because we want to get something for free agents. I mean, if Chicago trades Jonathan Toews and Patrick Kane, you don't have to accuse them of tanking. They're going to say, we want something for these players, and we're not going to get anything otherwise. But just take the whole tanking conversation out of the mix, because the idea of sports, professional, amateur, wherever, is to try to win. And the minute you're not trying to win, you're not trying your best to win, then you're polluting the idea that these are games that produce results, and the results matter, or you're not bothering to play the games in the first place.
Again, Bob, I think it goes to the point of not necessarily affecting that single team, but how it affects the whole league. If you get a team that's tanking and trying to lose, and they're in the last 2 weeks of the regular season, and the teams they are playing are in a playoff hunt, and the schedule is designed so that you play them twice, and the other teams you're fighting for a playoff spot but don't play them at all, then it's the integrity of the sport and the game, if there's such a thing.
Well, but there is no such thing, because the integrity is lost if a team is trying to lose.
Well, that's right.
Well,
and you're arguing our side.
Not really.
But integrity takes a back seat for the fans of the Leafs, who say, we got Austin Matthews, nothing else matters. The Colorado Avalanche, we got Cale Makar and Nathan McKinnon, and nothing else matters. And that's the way you win. And I mean, the Chicago Blackhawks, when they were winning Stanley Cups, was because they got Jonathan Toews and Patrick Kane at their peak. So there are a lot of fans in the NHL and in other sports, presumably, although not quite as much, I don't think, who say, you have to do this. Otherwise, you're going to be in 15th place every year.